It rumbles. A storm brews, and the roiling currents of the upper atmosphere prepare their terrifying concerto. Winds that rip apart forests, accompanied by lightning that vaporizes matter. We all live in awe of such overwhelming power, and have done so since the dawn of time. But what if not all creatures were subservient to the might of nature? What kind of beast could be strong enough to wrangle the very elements? Could there be a being so powerful that its command compels the storm? Science, in a way, is a blanket. As much as it is presented as a noble effort to measure the world and characterize the stars to understand our existence, it is also undeniably an endeavor of comfort. Like a blanket, we wrap ourselves in the findings of science and tell ourselves that come what may, our knowledge and ingenuity will keep us safe. That is, of course, a platitude. No matter how much we learn, what lies beyond the horizon of our understanding is always greater, always more elusive, always more magical. This is a lesson the Hunters Guild has had to learn again and again, and one creature in particular has stood as a continuous reminder of just how mysterious the world still is, despite our best efforts. This case is in fact so mysterious that it is not trivial to determine when it even started. Over the many years of the Guild's existence, hunters would occasionally return with an odd report. Quest completed, target slain, everything went smoothly. But amidst it all, they reported to have felt as if they were being watched. A tingle in the air surrounding them at all times. Some of these reports even mentioned seeing a lean shadow leap away in the distance, always just out of reach. All of these encounters were also accompanied by a sudden thunderstorm appearing and then quickly disappearing again. The hunters never reported to have been in any danger during these initial sightings. It was always just a quiet brush with the unknown. As the Hunters Guild grew in size and the number of hunters out in the field at any given time increased, so too did these odd encounters grow in frequency. Before long, the shadowy watcher had not only been sensed and glimpsed, but even seen from a reasonable distance. While the descriptions of the entity varied wildly, there were a few consistent features. It was indeed described as a monster, an animal rather than some supernatural entity. Most reports agreed that it was not a massive creature, and that it walked on 4 legs. Beyond this, however, the alleged appearance of the Phantom Beast varies significantly, being described to be of basically any color, with numerous contradictory features such as tentacles, whiskers, and frills. At the time, the Guild considered this mystery to be of somewhat low priority. While it was certainly puzzling and tantalizing, it wasn't actually posing any threat to hunters or civilians. Whatever this creature was, it merely observed from afar and then vanished. The Hunters Guild is primarily concerned with safety, so no immediate action towards uncovering this phantom beast was taken at that time. However, as rumors and myths regarding this case became common knowledge among hunters, many younger upstarts began engaging in reckless behavior, hoping to be the ones to finally confront and discover this mystery monster. Many boasted about trying to chase down the creature, and it soon became a sort of challenge for newcomers, despite repeated scoldings from their guildmasters. Until, one day, of course, a hunter returned to Dundorma in a panicked frenzy. Behind him, on a cart, he was hauling a collection of blackened armor pieces, loosely held together by a charred human corpse. The hunter himself was also injured, missing numerous fingers which looked as if they had been scorched clean off. Through the babbling of the survivor, a severe tragedy was illustrated. This duo of greenhorns had dedicated themselves to discovering the mystery monster and, independently of guild researchers, concluded that most of its sightings seemed to occur in or near the marshes around Dundorma. They had indeed found it and, against all guild recommendations, approached it head-on. As they faced it, the creature had suddenly leapt past them, followed by a roaring thunderclap. The surviving hunter recalled little else after that. From one moment to the next, his fingers and his friend were gone, replaced with the stench of burning flesh. From this description, it appeared that this creature was a thunder element monster of hitherto unheard of potency. While all thunder monsters are dangerous, no living creature was ever seen outright vaporizing a human so easily. As a result, the discovery, classification, and containment of this phantom beast was made an urgent investigation. Luckily, the survivor had been able to get a good look at the creature, and, after a bit of calming down, his testimony proved invaluable in tracking it down. The entire Hunters Guild, focusing on one goal, is a tremendous force, and, indeed, the mystery creature would soon be discovered and observed by a sanctioned hunting party. It matched the survivor's description perfectly. It was a quadruped creature, roughly the size and shape of a moose. Its blue hide was striped and grew white luminous patches of fur in various places. And on its head sat a single, deep blue horn, perfectly straight and horribly pointed. As its existence became confirmed, it was named Kirin. Even after its official discovery, the Kirin was, and continues to be, a deeply elusive creature. It matches no known monster group and seems to have no immediate relatives, thus placing it into the Elder Dragon category by necessity. But even this decision is much debated. As mystical and bizarre Elder Dragons may be, the majority of them do display some degree of similarity, which is completely absent in the small, equine Kirin. A small group of researchers are currently petitioning to investigate its relation to the Kelby, another small equine creature, but that angle has gone nowhere as of now. Equally disputed is the Kirin's actual lifestyle and territory. Kirin are sighted in almost every environment with no clear regularity, and as such, the guild doesn't have a habitat map as much as it just has a list of locations in which Kirin have been sighted before. They do seem to appear more commonly in the Ancient Tower, a derelict megastructure deep in the ruined land of Fonron. They also seem to be slightly more common in the marshes near Dundorma, as the Greenhorns tragically surmised. Some researchers have suggested that Kirin do have a bespoke territory somewhere in the wild, but that it is so remote, so elusive and inaccessible that all the guild ever sees are the individuals that venture out and away from their secret home. Whatever the case may be, the little confirmed information about the Kirin paints a fascinating picture all by itself. Kirin are swift and graceful, galloping across any and all climate zones with seeming ease. While they are not actively aggressive, invoking their anger will see them attack relentlessly, using perhaps the single most inexplicable ability ever discovered by the guild. True fulminokinesis, the ability to command lightning. Monsters that utilize electricity or the thunder element to attack or defend themselves are actually nothing new. Even in the early days of the guild, various natural mechanisms to harness the thunder element were known and understood, specifically in the Kezu. But in most of those cases, the monster in question possesses some internal organ or feature that produces, stores, or guides electricity. That is not the case with the Kirin. It does not appear to have any internal structures associated with this, nor does the thunder it controls even originate from its own body. Instead, the Kirin is able to generate storm clouds in the atmosphere above it and call down natural lightning strikes at any time on any target it desires. The Kirin doesn't merely use thunder attacks. It forces the very heavens above it to obey its commands and send down scorching thunderbolts. Natural lightning strikes are magnitudes more powerful than anything a living creature could ever hope to produce in its own body, and so this ability makes the Kirin both unique and devastatingly powerful. Lightning dances around this beast, striking at any that approach it. The speed and intricate patterns with which these strikes occur are nearly impossible to outmaneuver, and few beings, man or monster, are able to survive getting hit more than once. The Kirin found in the New World can even cause lightning to curve and fly horizontally, an entirely unique and absurd occurrence. True fulminokinesis is as mysterious as it is powerful. Lightning strikes are a largely random phenomenon, and there aren't many known mechanisms to feasibly manipulate them, let alone control them to the degree seen in the Kirin. Careful observation has however yielded some clues. This ability seems to depend on both the Kirin's white fur and its horn. Whenever it calls down thunder, its mane glows and pulsates brightly, and the larger lightning strikes are called down by a swing of the azure horn, which can often be seen crackling with small arcs of lightning around it. Two key observations further solidified the importance of these two body parts. First, in the New World, a researcher made a breakthrough discovery when they finally managed to observe a Kirin during feeding. Long thought to be herbivores, Kirin were finally confirmed to seek out plants, but not for the usual reasons. While the researcher called it feeding, what they actually observed was that the Kirin was licking the plants rather than eating them. It seemed to be lapping off the moisture that accumulated on the surface of certain flora, and, curiously, whenever it did so, the Kirin would shed small puffs of its white mane, which would briefly glow like it does while calling down lightning. This suggested that there was some mechanism by which absorbing moisture could replenish or otherwise influence the Kirin's mane. The sparkling energy that surrounds the hair at most times might suggest that the beast does store some degree of thunder in its own body as well. How exactly this interacts with its ability is still unknown. The second key observation centered around an entirely different species. The Rajang, a rare and dangerous fanged beast, is well known for its thunder abilities, which color its coat and empower its fists. But these abilities are not innate at birth. Instead, Rajang must perform a sort of coming-of-age ritual, in which they hunt down a Kirin, break off its horn, and consume it. Upon ingesting the horn, a Rajang unlocks its full electric potential. This implies that the horn is indeed where the major thunder abilities of the Kirin are localized, as it would otherwise not have this effect on the Rajang. Both parts of the mane and the horn were later retrieved for study, which was unfortunately less insightful than expected. While both materials held significant electric charge, making them difficult to handle, they showed no signs of special structures or adaptations that enabled that property. It was as if the Kirin simply had a natural, mystical relationship to the storms, and that they granted it power beyond the constraints of mere biology. Using this power, a rampaging Kirin is a force to be reckoned with. As if the lightning strikes weren't enough, the beast is also quite formidable without them. Its strong legs allow it to shoot itself off the ground at tremendous speeds, even being able to leap up cliffs and mountains effortlessly. In conjunction with this agility, its horn is not just a vessel for its thunder ability, but a deadly skewer, ready to penetrate those that irritate its wielder. Defensively, the Kirin has another bizarre ability. By calling down a lightning strike onto itself, it envelops its body in a plasmatic aura. The crackling electricity surrounding it tempers the Kirin's muscles, making its body so hard that almost nothing can harm it. It is a truly otherworldly creature. Kirin research did not just happen in a vacuum. With each new, inexplicable detail about the creature that made it into guild records, the imagination and ambition of scholars all across the organizations was emboldened. The Kirin may be elusive, but through that quality, it inspired an entire generation of researchers to dream and imagine all the other unusual, magical beasts that might roam the great unknown. And of course, numerous theories around the Kirin specifically emerged. One favorite in scholarly dining halls was the question of if the Kirin's relationship to the storms was innate and unalterable. Was the Kirin inextricably bound to lightning through some specific, unknown ancient pact? Or could there be a kind of Kirin that controls a different element? The answer to this question revealed itself sometime later, during the Magala incident. In this historic event, a rogue Ghor Magala caused chaos and panic in and around the Valhabar region, leading to increased guild activity in the area. This jurisdiction included a nearby zone called the Everwood, a massive forest full of ancient ruins. It is in fact so massive that it has, to this day, never been fully mapped. Many rare and even unique creatures live in these woods, and one day, a patrol came back with a truly astonishing report. The party described spotting a Kirin. This was by itself nothing new. Kirin had been seen in the Everwood before. But this individual was different. Its hide was much darker than usual, nearly black, and its mane was of a deep purple color. The horn was a dull pink rather than the characteristic azure. But most bafflingly, this Kirin did not call down lightning. Instead, its horn seemed to control the ambient temperature, able to flash freeze anything within its sight in an instant. It could produce icicles and ice spires to both defend and attack. This was quickly classified as a subspecies of Kirin, named Oroshi Kirin, and it would only be sighted a handful of times after this initial discovery. Nearly nothing is known about it and how it lives, and all descriptions of it merely repeat that first sighting. But the fact that the Oroshi Kirin controls ice was nonetheless significant. Researchers have suggested that since both ice and storms are abilities that interact with moisture and humidity, the Kirin's true ability may actually be to control atmospheric humidity around it. Alas, until more sightings occur, nothing can be truly confirmed. The world is so vast and so infuriatingly beautiful. Even with all our science and research, nature continues to find ways to humble us. No academic paper could describe the magnificence of beings such as the Kirin, a magnificence that exists within the unknown. And in that unknown, we must venture. Because who knows what wonders still lie beyond our horizons. Next time on Monster Hunter Ecology. The shadow it casts is enormous. How many lives have come and gone in its wake? How many lineages, kingdoms, legends have risen and fallen as it stood by, unbothered, unaffected? And how much will be lost once it walks? How much will be trampled in its wake? How does one fight back when a mountain takes its first step? Thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the penultimate episode of Season 1 of Monster Hunter Ecology. Just one more episode to go. I hope you've been enjoying it. A very special thank you to all of my patrons. Remember, you can sign up to the Patreon and see every video early. Speaking of my Patreons, a very special shout out to Kuroneko, Zion H.V. Augensen, A.J. Rivera, Alistair, Jacob Bennett, Soruka, Gengratus, Sir Newt, Orbital, Terrador, Emperor Eevee, Rambling Robin, Lizric, Hashi, Black Ace 202, Dissy, Hubble Mirror 123, Magenta, Danilo Villavicencio, Arcturian 711, Russell, Person 212, Claire Miboon, Oakwood Tree, Mr. Pyramid, Perefuego, Makoto 2, Project Iceman, Perros Coco, Geo, Jamie Tate, Nils Schlatter, Fiction Ape, Iron Camel, and Nah, I'm going to bed. Take care everyone, and I'll see you next time for the finale. Bye!